morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope your Sundays are going well. I'm doing okay this Sunday. Y'all know that yesterday was just a rough day all around. There's nothing that I can do about that. It's been a rough season. Also, nothing that I can really do. I shouldn't say nothing that I can do, but I'm going to say sometimes there's things that you can do to help you get through tough times. Sometimes the tough times are just going to be there until they're not going to be there. Because that was my experience last year. Last year, I felt like I was in survival mode for the last 8 months of the year, where nothing I really did was improving the way that I felt, but just continuously making sure to get up and follow through with as much of my routine as I could, and to just keep going to work and to just keep showing up until those feelings kind of passed to an extent, because I don't think they ever really go away when you're talking about major losses, but it's definitely not as bad as it was at that time, because now I am actually still getting up and moving through the pain, whereas before it was literally crippling for me, to where I was like, I don't have any kind of motivation. I can barely function. But here's the topic at hand: how attending reality TV events became one of your boy's favorite hobbies. I had never been to a reality TV event prior to, I want to say, I'll have to look it up, but I want to say 2022 was the very first one. It was either December of 2021 or January of 2022, but that's splitting hairs. It doesn't really matter. But I do think that it was January of 2022. And when I first attended an event, hello Froggy, it was as a fan. I mean, I attend all the events as a fan, because obviously I am a fan. That's the reason why I end up going. But I mean a fan, because I wasn't going for this page. This page was not in existence at that time. I did have my other page, Music and Mental Health, but I wasn't really hardcore following the reality TV angle. So I was just going because I saw on one of the fan Facebook pages, hey, there's going to be an event in New York City. I had never heard of the events in New York before. I didn't know they were going on for years. So I was just excited to go and meet whoever was going to be there. And the person who ended up being there was, well, I think it was Mark Long. It was definitely Mark Long and Derek Kaczynski. And they had a surprise guest. Surprise guest ended up being Johnny Bananas. It's morning for me here, but good evening for you, wherever you're located. In this time, it's morning. It's afternoon. In New York City, it is about 12 p.m. So I guess it's a way earlier than it is in your time zone. But anyways, I remember when I went to the event. Oh, you're from India. When I first got there, I was really nervous. So I didn't know how these things go. I thought that you wait your turn and then they say, okay, everybody line up to go see whichever person, and then you get up when they make their announcement, and then you go get in line. 10:23 p.m. So you're about 10 hours. You're about 10 hours ahead of us, or ahead of my time. So, anyways, that's not the way that it worked. The way that it worked is that you just walk into the bar and you just walk on up to them and you grab them if you can. And I sat down and I was like, I'm going to get my chance eventually. And then I was sitting down and everyone else was getting up and grabbing them and hugging them. Can I get a picture with you? And I just have never felt comfortable being that type of fan. So I remember somebody who knew me from the Facebook group was like, hey, who have you met so far? I said, nobody. So he was like, I'm taking you to the back. The back was like this VIP section. And all the challengers that were there, I can't remember all of them at this point, but all the ones that were there were in the back. And the first person he brings me over to is Johnny Bananas. Johnny Bananas, I was somebody who hated Johnny Bananas for all of his challenge career to that point. Although, I believe when I met him was right after the Total Madness season. And I remember, y'all know I'm a West fan, so speaking of West, I'm probably gonna make a video about West also at some point. But yeah, him and Wes had made up for that season, and then the two of them were working together, and I was kind of okay with Bananas from that season, because I'm like, if my guy made up with him and he's cool with him now, who am I to not be cool with him? So what ended up happening was I walked up to him and I was like, Johnny, what's up, man? He said, hey, what's up? What's your name? I spoke to him a little bit. I said, I have to admit, I'm part of the Lifetime West Bergman Club. He was like, oh, he started laughing and he's like, oh man, I'm effing sorry for you, man. He said, you picked the wrong team. He's like, I'm sorry that you had to be a fan of that ginger bastard or something like that he said, and for all those years, and deal with all his BS. And we had a big laugh over that, and then we had conversations over a lot of different things. He spoke to me for a while. We were talking about him taking the money from Sarah, some of his biggest moves, some of the seasons that he liked, and some of the seasons he didn't like being on. And actually, he had not been on a few seasons at that point, and he had said he retired. He was like, I'm retired from the challenge. That's what he had said on Twitter. So I remember I asked him, I'm like, you actually retired from the challenge? Like, you're not going to come back? And he was like, nah. He's like, nah, I'm not retired. I'm definitely coming back. He said, I just needed a mental health break. And I was so surprised by that answer. He was like, it wears on you. He said, as much as I love it, it wears on you to keep doing these seasons over and over and over and over again. So to me, it was so surprising because he just looks like this impenetrable force that just lives, eats, and breathes the challenge and doesn't get bothered by anything. Like, he's somebody who just seemed to thrive in chaos. Like, I just love the chaos type of thing. But I guess even a supervillain needs breaks sometimes. So that was that. When I went to that one event, it was just fun to attend the event. Now, the second event that I went to, you know what? I remember. So there's this person who I met from the first event who also I had met from the Facebook group. And then I happened to see her, or she saw me and was like, I sold you a couple of shirts online. She was somebody who makes customized shirts, customized challenge shirts. So I had bought a couple of challenge shirts from her, and she was like, "Are you Mark?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we ended up speaking, and then at the event, I saw that she made customized swag for several of the challengers at that particular event, and they loved it. And I was like, that's kind of a nice thing to do, because really what they do for the majority of the time, aside from the people that like them, they get a lot of people that troll them, gives them troll comments, and they're just fighting off the trolls, spending a bunch of time fighting off trolls. So I was looking at them reacting to those things, and I'm like, it's nice for them to receive something or hear something different that's positive, because I'm sure their mental health is put to the test on these shows. Okay, so I started to think about my own things that I wanted to do when I see the challengers. And I think the first one, I can't remember. There's so many things that have happened in the last 2 years that trying to remember everything in chronological order is hard. But I think one of the first things I can remember doing is there was an event in Philadelphia maybe 2 years ago, a challenge event that I went to. And at that particular challenge event, it was right after the challenge ride or die season. And I was like, I made some funny trophies for the people that were there at that event, which was Olivia and Anissa, and one was supposed to be for Nerese, but Nerese no-showed. So the one for Nerese is still sitting in my house. She's probably never going to receive it at this point, but that's neither here nor there. But anyways, they had such big reactions to receiving those things. And I was like, that's pretty cool to be able to create something, because I am a creative person. To be able to create something that is going to give these people a strong reaction. 1 second. So that was that. So the next time I went to a challenge event, Devin was the headliner at that event. And I had this idea in my head, like, there was a moment on the challenge where Josh and Devin were in the midst of this serious argument, and Devin was like, "Big brother sucks," and then he said, "Josh, what's 8 times 9?" And I'm like, this is one of the most hilarious levels of trolling that I've ever heard. Like, somebody is really mad at you and talking about they're gonna beat you up, and then you're yelling to them, "What's 8 times 9?" Right? So I made a sign that said, "Josh, what's 8 times 9?" And I was like, when I go there and see Devin, I want to reenact this moment with Devin. So we ended up reenacting the moment, and to me, it was hilarious, and it became a moment. The trophy thing became a moment. That became a moment. And recently you see me do this Carl outfit, Carl Maria. That became a moment. And it started to become a fun thing of like, let's not just go to these things to say, hey, I'm a fan. I'm like, hey, I want to create my own moment. And that's what I've been doing, and that's why it's been fun. Hi, bruh. Bruh is really your name. Bruh. That's funny. So yeah, that's my short story, and I'm sticking to it. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you have not done so yet, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more fantastic, amazing content. And enjoy your Sundays if it's Sunday in your area. Have a great one.